One world currency.
The New World Order.
Those are the roots of trouble.
I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice, tumbling down the rabbit hole. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. But I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
And now, welcome to another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. Here's your host from federaljack.com. It's Popeye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. Today is May 23rd, 2012. How many more days till Memorial Day? It's observed in the 28th. 5. It is Wednesday night. Martial law in South Beach begins in exactly tick-tock, about 24 hours. Probably less than that, because by this time, by 10 o'clock Friday night, there'll be people down here and they'll have everything up already. And they said they would actually be doing it Friday. What am I talking about? Martial law in South Beach. Popeye, what are you talking about? Why would there be martial law in South Beach on Memorial Day weekend? Well, I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to show you how ridiculous it is, how much money they spend on it, and I'm going to give you a solution to the problem, which is rather very simple and easy. I'm going to cover other things too, but why am I going over this? Because today I saw a video by CBS, the local affiliate down here, CBS 4 in Miami, and it floored me. And it floored me because I used to live in the area where they're doing this. And I'm going to explain what this is. This is incredible. I'm doing air quotes. This, all capitals, this being their police state that they're creating. Wait till I get into this. Just wait. I'm just really agitated about this. So I'm gonna explain what goes on. I'm going to show both sides because there is a need for some level of security with all the crap that goes on. But if they didn't, it would be real simple. If they didn't allow the crap to go on to begin with, if they canceled all the certain festivities, there wouldn't be problems. But I'll get into it. One other thing I wanted to touch on before I get into all this. The YouTube channel, Federal Jack Tube number 6, which is the one a lot of people are subscribed to. It's got like 2.5 million hits. And it's not even a year old. It's got 2 strikes on it. Got 2 strikes within the past week and a half, 2 weeks. But my older channels, the original Federal Jack Tube, just Federal Jack Tube, and then Federal Jack Tube number 4, the only 2 older original channels I have left. Over time, because I left them alone, the strikes were removed. So they're clean. So I'm going to be uploading videos to both channels. And so subscribe to both. I'm going to start off with probably Federal Jack Tube 4 because it was a pretty popular channel. So out of the two. So keep an eye on Federal Jack Tube and Federal Jack Tube number 4. And that's where all the latest 15-minute video or 15-minute or shorter uploads will be going. And then, of course, the Radio Archives have their own channel, which I don't upload anything but the archives to. And interesting, I was talking to Tim Watts about this off air. YouTube, their censorship is just getting out of control. I had to fight, I think it was 7 or 8 copyright third-party claims on my shows when I upload them to YouTube. And I cut all the commercials out. I cut all the bumper music out, everything. And it was a song that when I listened to it, it was not even anything that was related to anything I played or any of my bumper music or anything. And literally within 15 minutes of me disputing it, they pulled it off of 8 of the videos. There was one separate company, Orchard Music, I think, is the name of the company. And from what I understand, they're hardcore in this censorship on YouTube. They have a claim in on one of my videos. And I showed how their music is not in the video, and they responded by saying, all it is you dispute it, and YouTube says, well, we're going to wait for them and see what they say. And the company says, oh, that's ours. And then that's it. You can't dispute it anymore. Case closed, done. There's no more links for you to click or anybody for you to message. You're screwed, and they put commercials up on it. So there's still a few of my my shows that I'm fighting. I'm trying to figure out, I'm putting together something, I'm working on something right now so that everybody will eventually, hopefully, if everything works right, be able to just download the MP3 archives and listen to them on their devices or computers whenever you want. You won't even need to use YouTube. And I'm still going to upload to YouTube for the YouTube viewers, but it's just starting to really irritate me that even my own original 100% created work that is mine, the pictures in it are mine, that I did, audio, my show, my voice, and you have third party whoever, just anybody can say, oh, my stuff's on there, and YouTube doesn't check it. They just go ahead and they put either they yank it or they put commercials on it. And I have an issue with someone putting a commercial and making money off of a commercial running before, or a little Google ad popping up one of my radio shows. Because first of all, that makes it look like I'm okay with this stuff popping up, which I'm not. I turn commercials off in my videos. I don't allow that crap. And if there's no way to fight it, it's just really annoying. So if you see commercials on some of the archived radio shows on DTRH Radio Archives, the YouTube channel where all the archived shows go, I'm not putting them up. Stop sending me messages or asking me, Popeye, you support this commercial. How come it's not on all your videos? Well, I don't know, genius. Sit back and think about it for a second. I think you just answered your own question. You have to understand how YouTube works. And no, I'm not being mean when I say that, ladies and gentlemen, the genius comment. I'm just tired of, for years that I've been on YouTube, getting emails, messages, still to this day. Why do you let YouTube put commercials on your stuff? On your channel? I don't let them. They just do it. I turn the feature off. Welcome to fascism. Mussolini, put it best. Merger of corporatism, and actually that's what it should be called, is corporatism. But it was the merger of the state and corporations. So fascism, or what should be called corporatism, and that's what you have today. The U in YouTube is gone, and now it's Google and CIA NSA tube. And if they don't like what you're saying, they remove it. If there's a video of a cat licking its ass, it gets 1,000 hits per minute. If there's a video of a puppy falling asleep on a set of stairs, it'll get 1 million hits in a day and a half. Coney 2012, boom, 32 million. Well, that was propaganda, but you see my point. They control that, and kudos to Tim Watts, who's working on, and I know he's working on a story about this. Knowing Tim, he'll probably put together an entire show because it's just the kind of guy he is. There's a lot of websites out there that used to rank YouTube videos. You used to be able to get real rankings of videos. Well, interestingly, all these sites have been bought up, and now they're just laying idle and just sitting there, not doing anything. Not like they were bought up and like YouTube was and turned into this corporate thing with commercials and everything else. No. No. They're bought and then parked. As is, right there. And I'm sure the people that made the site sign a contract that say, oh, we'll never make something, like this again, this type of site that does the same thing. When you print the money and you have the power to print money out of thin air, you control everything. All right, we're going to break. When we get back, martial law in South Beach for Memorial Day weekend. Martial law in South Beach for Memorial Day weekend. Popeye, what the hell are you talking about? Okay, here we go. South Beach, Memorial Day weekend. They have a party that they call Urban Beach Weekend. It is the largest party of its kind anywhere in the world. Yes, anywhere in the world. Anywhere between 200 and 300,000 people will descend on South Beach this weekend from all over, not only South Florida, but many people. In fact, more than half of the people will be from out of state. Now, for some reason, when people go to South Beach, it is a barrier island, yes. It's not, okay, well, it's not really an island, as you would say. It's considered a barrier island, but if you drove about 15 miles north, it eventually connects to the mainland when the mainland juts out a little bit more. But it is, I guess you could consider it a peninsula, but the locals call it an island. And South Beach is the southernmost section of Miami Beach. And that's where this whole party takes place, because most of South Beach, although even if you go above like 26th or 27th Street, there's a couple hotels and stuff up there. Most of the hotels and most of the clubs that get filled are, I would say, from like, all right, maybe like 30th down to 1st. Well, let me rephrase that. 30th down to 5th. 5th to 1st is Ritchieville. But from like 30th down to 5th Street. And I talk like I know what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, because I lived on South Beach for 7 years, so I know it like the back of my hand. And I'm speaking out of memory, right, just off the top of my head from what, the visual in my head. And every year, this little tiny barrier island peninsula gets just inundated with folks for Memorial Day weekend. And for some reason, people come down to this little vacation spot, and they forget where they come from. And they act out, they act the fool, and people get arrested. And I'm not talking about just a Memorial Day weekend. This happens all the time. But Memorial Day weekend in itself draws the largest crowd of morons. And the other problem is over the they say 13 years, but it really hasn't been 13 years. The CBS reported that it's been going on for 13 years, but it hasn't been that long. I would say it really kicked up in about 2004, 2005, around there, and it's just been going strong ever since. And the first year that it got really bad, there was about 50,000 people that descended upon the beach in the first 2 days. And none of the locals knew what was going on because the city never told anybody. Hotels got trashed. Stores got vandalized. Cars got broken into. Apartments got broken into. The police weren't really prepared for it. The next year they were, because then the following year they started. The first year they ended up shooting tear gas at people. It was just really bad. You can go look all this up. This is all documented fact. I'm not making any of this up. So this has been going on for years. So what I'm going to explain tonight, I'm also going to show a little bit of problem, reaction, solution. But this has been going on for years, and it's been building. And every year the residents bitch, and the city does nothing about it. They just keep issuing the permits to the people that put together the parties or whatever, these big hip-hop parties for 3 days, and they'll bring down people like, because it's a pretty big event. As I said, it's the largest, it used to be called Freaknik. They call it Urban Beach Weekend, but it's the largest party of its kind in the world. So you'll get rappers that'll come down here, other singers, whatever, hip-hop, R&B, whatever you want to call it. They'll come down here, but generally, it's usually the hip-hop crowd. And I'm not picking on any crowd, whatever, you can listen to what you want. But the problem is, and I could get into how that whole gangster rap subculture was created by the CIA and everything else, but these people come down, and a lot of them are doctors, lawyers, maybe police officers where they live. And they come down on vacation, they forget where they are. And for years, we put up with this as locals, and everybody would bitch. The business owners would bitch to the city. City wouldn't do anything. Even the police were complaining. And every year, the police response got worse and worse and worse. And I watched it progress until finally my wife and I moved off the beach because it was just getting too insane down there anyway as you get older and everything. But the police state down there had a lot to do with it. And, wanting to get away from living in the urban jungle and everything. But honestly, that place is not what it used to be when I first found Miami years and years ago. It's changed drastically. And on Memorial Day weekend, it gets really bad. And they bring in cops from at least 30 different agencies. And it used to be all over Miami-Dade. Now they bring them in from as far away as Broward and West Palm Beach counties. They'll come down. I've even seen cops come up from Monroe County, which is down by where the Keys are. All above and below Miami-Dade County. So you have police from other different counties coming in and other cities all over the place coming in and helping out. Well, this year, they're going way overboard. I thought it was insane when they spent $250,000 on overtime for this crap. But now they're spending over $1 million, and I'm going to get into that. But picture this. 5 years ago, 6 years, no, maybe probably even longer than now. Well, we'll say like 7 years ago, I thought $250,000 for overtime for the police was insane. And everybody said, well, Popeye, we need the police. You live here. You've seen what happens. It gets bad. And I said, well, then just don't give them the permits. See, it doesn't make any sense, ladies and gentlemen. When you're spending, in this case, over $1 million for this police weekend, and that's what I call it, the police weekend, this huge police state martial law weekend, and yet half the businesses on the beach close, the hotels close. So I know you're not bringing in that big a revenue. I know back in the day you weren't bringing in that big a revenue. So there's no way you're bringing in that much more now. There's no way you're breaking even. They used to lose money all the time on this, all the time. I knew people that worked in the city and used to bitch to me and say, I don't understand, man. See, running a tattoo shop, it's kind of like having a barber shop. People come in, they get work done, they talk. And I would just sit and listen, and I would collect information. That's how good investigation's done. You just shut your mouth and you open your ears. Sometimes you just let people do the talking. And this is back in the day, so I can, I even as far as maybe 2 weeks ago, I didn't know how much they were spending this year. And then I started to do a little research, and today I stumbled across this report, and over $1 million they're spending on this crap. Unfriggin' believable. You're not going to bring that much money back in revenue from the people coming down. I'm not kidding you. When I say half the businesses on the beach closed, you'll even hear the news actually reported on it this year. And I wrote I wrote a quick paragraph and then posted what CBS posted. I put together an article on Federal Jack, and I exposed this. I basically, in the paragraph, I showed how this is a farce, it's problem, reaction, solution, and how they never talked about it before, and they're acting like, oh my God, now there's people that are closing their stores and their hotels and stuff. They've been doing that for years. One of my friends worked security. I tell this story all the time. One of my friends worked security at a hotel called the Clevelander, and one year they caught a guy at like 5 o'clock in the morning with a TV going down. He was just on the first floor hallway going out like one of the back doors to his car in the parking lot. And they said, what are you doing? And he said, oh, my TV didn't work, so I took it down so you guys could replace it. He unbolted it from the turntable it was bolted to. He was trying to steal the television. That's the kind of crap that goes on. So hotels close. They'll get $15,000 worth of damage to one room. See, it's important to know these facts. That's why I'm telling you this stuff. All right, we'll be back in a few minutes, and we'll get into what they're going to do. I have an article on federaljack.com, ladies and gentlemen, titled Memorial Day Weekend on South Beach. Private security, ID checks, and license plate scanners for all. And that's where I posted the piece from CBS in the article I wrote, and then I have the paragraph above it that I wrote myself really quick. And it's rough, and I left it rough the way I came across on purpose. No foul language or anything, but because that was how it came across el natural as I wrote it, from being a person that lived through it, and I understand both sides of this. See, they create the problem by letting this huge, massive party go on. Somebody somewhere knows that this is out of control. Okay, this has to be. They're using this, I should say, like Rahm Emanuel would say, never let a good crisis go to waste. They're using this to push a broader agenda, and it's the perfect excuse. It's like a launch vehicle. And they could have stopped this a long time ago when it was a much smaller problem. As I said, there has to be more to it, because it just doesn't make financial sense that you would spend $1.8 million, I think is what you're going to hear her say. The newscaster quote the city as saying they're spending on security for 3 days. 3 days. $1.8 million for security for 3 days. That's the equivalent of, knowing a couple that spends 50 or 60 grand on a 6-hour wedding. And I know people that have done that, and they think it's all well and said and good until a couple years later when they get kicked out of their house or something. And most people I know nowadays with the economic times have said to me, if I was only smarter when I was younger, I wouldn't have pissed away my money on a useless wedding, on a party. Well, that's what they do with this. They do the same crap. $1.8 million. The city doesn't have $1.8 million to spend, so where are they getting that money from? What do you want to bet some of that funding is federal? What do you want to bet? If someone pulled a Freedom of Information Act request, what do you want to bet that at least part of that money, if not a quarter of it, maybe even half, comes from DHS? Oh, Popeye, come on, it's just a party. Yeah, as I said, they bring in cops from all over the place. They have the ATF down here, the DEA, DHS, and you'll hear the one councilwoman say when they in the video, she says, well, if it was an urban beach weekend, it would be then we would be doing this for spring break. If spring break was like this, if we put all the spring breaks together in one and we had that problem. And that's an excuse. That's crap too. It's not. People have the ACLU is coming at it with, it's just racist because it's urban beach weekend. It's not racist. There's more to it. See, that in itself, the argument of racism, that's a red herring, and that crap is to stir up the racial pot more. Okay, racism has nothing to do with it. There's nothing to do with it. This is allowed to go on for a bigger reason. Somebody somewhere allows this crap to go on because they're being told to. It doesn't make any financial sense. They don't bring in $1.8 million in revenue in the weekend to even cover what they spend on security. So why would you spend money to bring a party to your city that causes such a problem that you have to enact the police state and pretty much bring about martial law in your city for 3 days? Does that make any sense, ladies and gentlemen? Does it make any sense? Let me repeat that. You spend $1.8 million. You don't even bring in $1.8 million in revenue to cover that. So you are spending out of your pocket to bring down a huge, massive party, which the residents and the people that own businesses there do not like and do not want and have for years voiced their opinions against it. And you're spending money to bring this party down to have this huge police state. It doesn't make any sense from a city standpoint unless you look at it like they're federal funding and they're using it as a training ground. Bingo. And every year it gets worse and worse and worse. All right, let me play this clip really quick from the local CBS 4 affiliate. And I'll start playing it because I'm going to end up stopping it and ripping into it. You know how I am. So here we go.
Maggie, thanks. We are just days away from Memorial Day weekend, and Miami Beach is getting ready to implement a $1.8 million security plan after last year's police-involved shooting. We sent CBS 4's Gio Benitez back to where that shooting happened to see what people there are doing to prepare. Gio?
Shannon, some of the hotel owners in that area tell me they've already hired private security teams.
Private security teams. And what did they say? This whole $1.8 million is in response to the police shooting last year, which many of you will probably remember. I think it was 13 or 14 cops. They shot, maybe it was 10 cops, whatever. They shot this all of them versus one guy. They said he was armed. I don't remember if he was armed or not. But they shot him, and then they were running up to people, confiscating cell phones, gunpoint. Remember these videos? This was out last year in the news. They ended up shooting 4 innocent bystanders because they just opened fire on this guy in front of a crowd of people, and they were just firing randomly. So rather than fire the officers involved or reprimand them and say, you guys shouldn't be dickheads with your weapons and just randomly fire into a crowd of people, you jerk off, basic gun ownership 101. No. Their response is to spend $1.8 million on making it a bigger police state so that we don't have the shootout. Why not just not have the party and fire all the idiot officers that were involved in the debacle last year for shooting like that into a crowd of civilians? Idiot. Why are we wasting our time with this? See, there's more to it. It doesn't make sense. When you sit down and look at it logically, it doesn't make sense. And I'm willing to bet any amount of money that there's federal funding involved in this. And where there's federal funding, there's DHS. And problem, reaction, solution.
That was right here. He was shot there.
Roz Gattuso runs La Flora Hotel, just feet away from where last year police shot and killed one man they say was armed and injured 4 bystanders in the shooting. One reason why, Gattuso says, some businesses here are shutting down for the weekend.
I mean, Spiegel's closing, and, everybody has to put really tight security on, and I think...
Restaurants right here are closing up.
They're closing. Yep, they're going to close.
Restaurants and hotels and businesses in a city where tourism is the lifeblood closes on one of the largest holiday weekends of the year. And nobody says there's a problem. And if anybody says, again, well, Popeye, this is a new thing. No, this has been going on for 6-7 years now where people close their businesses. It started off with a few, and it just started cascading over the years. Some of the hotels, rather than close, what they do is they charge astronomical fees to stay at the hotel. They'll raise their rates to, $500 a day, $300 or $500 a day, and a minimum of a 5-day stay. So that, at $500 a day for 5 days is going to cost you $2,500. Most people that come down to South Beach for Urban Beach Weekend, whatever the hell you want to call it, Freaknik, most of them can't afford that. And these hotels know that. So the ones that do that, like the Lowe's, the higher end ones, but some of them, like the Clevelander and other ones, they lock their doors and they close up. As I said going into break, one year the Clevelander got more damage to one room than they brought in revenue for the whole weekend. What was the point of that? They were in the hole. It cost them money to stay open that weekend. So these owners learn. They put the hurricane shutters down, lock things up, and that's it. And then they come clean up the outside of the store afterwards. That's all they can do. They've complained to the city. City doesn't do crap. City just lets it go on. Again, you got to wonder why. Who in the city is letting it go on? Who? Somebody's obviously letting this crap go on. Why? They're not making any money from it. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Police say they arrest more people during Memorial Day weekend than any other weekend all year. 431 people were arrested last year. City spokesperson Nanette Rodriguez.
And that's nothing. I remember the one year, a couple of years ago, they did this huge arrest blitz. It was the same year that one of our reporters got beaten up on video, by the way. I'm sure there's probably still copies of it. Just look for a Federal Jack reporter gets assaulted in Miami. And that year, I think they had 1,100 arrests for the weekend. It was just incredible. They were arresting everybody and anyone. All right, I'll finish this video when we get back. And then I'm going to lay out what they're going to do. I'm going to lay out the logistics of their martial law plan. $1.8 million for 3 days. I don't know if you could justify that to your boss. Try going to work and getting your boss to spend $1.8 million on something for 3 days. Anything. Something useless, though. Make sure it's completely and utterly useless and wastes your money and causes you nothing but problems. And see if your boss will go for it. See if you still have a job. Let's get back to this clip. Unbelievable. I don't know how these people get voted back in. I don't understand the residents of... But to the residents of South Beach, I know there's a lot of you that listen to my show. Vote these people out. Don't put them back in. Vote them out. Make that part of their like a contingency that they want to stay in, they want to get voted back in, they want your vote, that this crap has to stop. Because if you took away the problem, there wouldn't be any need for the reaction or their solution. Remember that.
Yes, says the same could happen if spring break was just 3 days long.
If we were to combine all the spring breaks down to 1 week, we would be talking about spring break versus Memorial Day weekend.
Now the city plans to scan the license plates of people driving into South Beach, and sometimes at night, residents will have to prove they live here. The ACLU is concerned.
The only difference that I can see is the color of the skin of the people who are going to be attending these events.
And this guy's a moron because he's a useful idiot because he's sitting there, oh, it's race-based, it's all racism, when it's not. I mean, anybody that's ever been down here for this weekend knows that it does cause problems. But, again, it's the city's fault for allowing it to happen. Cities should not issue the permits, should say, nope, we're canceling it, you guys are out of here. The party used to be called Freaknik back in the day, okay? And it was thrown out of Atlanta because it was too ghetto and too out of control. Now, when you're too out of control and you get thrown out of Atlanta, why the hell would South Beach pick you up? Well, why? Because the city was greedy. They needed money because tourism was being pushed away. Why was tourism being pushed away? Well, there was things like, the TSA groping and things like that. So tourism was starting to slow down. And even before that, tourism was starting to slow down. The European contingent coming over to South Beach, a lot of that started to slow down. The only thing that actually helped that was when the dollar first started to go under compared to the euro, because then a lot of Europeans would come over to the States because their money was worth double. So, and then they would tip. They didn't care. They would throw you cash because they were on vacation and stuff. So for a brief time, some people made out. But I don't want to digress too much. The point is that tourism was on the decline, and multiple reasons. After 9/11 and TSA, years later with the groping, that really didn't help. The South Beach police themselves didn't help. They were known for shooting people and being pretty brutal. I've witnessed it, so that didn't help the situation at all. It was a myriad of things that came together, and also the convention center that they had in downtown. Or they were building, at the time, the city of Miami built a new convention center. And at the time, South Beach, their convention center was the only show in town. And it's getting older now. And this newer, more modern one was built not too far away. So a lot of the crowds that were using South Beach's convention center were now going to the other one. So South Beach was looking for a draw. They were looking for people to bring in. And they were willing to take anybody. And they took this party, Freaknik, that got kicked out of Atlanta. Now, there's your problem. the reaction to it was not to tell anybody. The city obviously knew that they were coming down, but and who knows if the police department ever got a proper briefing, which I doubt they did because they were very ill prepared the first year, and which led to them using tear gas and lobbing tear gas at people. I'm not kidding. You can go read all this. So the police were ill prepared, the residents were ill prepared, and the reaction was everybody freaked out. Now, the solution was, well, we'll bring in more cops. And at first, everybody was like, yeah, until, by the second year, third year with the cops there, and then it went from, a few police departments, local police departments aiding the South Beach PD to DHS, the ATF, the DEA, and next thing you know, it's Fortress South Beach. So, just ridiculous. All right, let me play this clip. I want to finish playing this clip really quick, if I can get through it without screaming and yelling.
For those who say there are racist intentions behind this plan, what do you say?
No. Our issue here is crowd management.
Part of the plan is to limit the Venetian Causeway to residents only and to put license plate readers on the MacArthur and Julia Tuttle Causeway.
Now, so you guys understand, if you were looking at like a picture of South Beach or of Miami Beach, we'll say, and you're looking at it, you'll see the part that we call the island, the southern tip there. It's only connected unless, like I said, you drove 15 miles north up like Collins Ave, where it connects up further up in like North Beach, in North Miami Beach rather. But down where this party goes on, there's 3 causeways that connect it to the mainland. There's the Julia Tuttle. Underneath that's the Venetian. And underneath that is the MacArthur Causeway, otherwise known as 395. The Coast Guard base, there's an island right off of there that's down there. The port is down there. Anybody that's gone down to South Beach has gone over MacArthur Causeway. If you've passed the Coast Guard base or you've passed the terminals where you see the cruise ships coming in and out, and they're going right next to the road there, in the South Beach shots or in CSI Miami, that's 395. What they're going to do is they're going to close the Venetian completely to local traffic only. So there'll be checkpoints on either end of the Venetian. And then the Julia Tuttle, which is up at the top, and the MacArthur, which is down at the bottom, they're going to have license plate scanners all along there. And by the way, the MacArthur already has cameras. They erected those DHS highway cameras about a year and a half, 2 years ago, maybe even a little longer now, maybe like 3 years ago. They put them all over the MacArthur Causeway. They even have one, I know there's one, there might even be a second one. I've shot video of it. Right on the causeway itself, there's a pole or a mast, whatever you want to call it, and it's got cameras and stuff, but at the top, it's got a radar. So it's actually doing radar. Why they would have their own radar right there is beyond me. It's not attached to anything. It's not like they can't use. We have one of the most advanced hurricane tracking centers in the world here in Miami. They don't need some piddly little retarded radar that you would have on a boat on top of a pole in the middle of a highway, but they have that on MacArthur. Anyway, they're going to put the license plate scanners and stuff on the Julia Tuttle and the MacArthur, so that there's out of the 3 causeways, one's completely closed off with checkpoints, and the other 2 has license plate scanners. So every single vehicle that comes on to that beach will be scanned. And this is important because they even admit that they're going to, and when I first saw this, I said, they're going to spend all this money for this, erect all this stuff, and then take it down. Yeah, right. They're going to leave all that stuff up there. And you'll hear them say at the end of the clip that they're thinking about using it for other weekends too. Right. They're just going to leave it up.
To scan almost every car that comes onto the beach. The idea, Rodriguez says, is to look for troublemakers who have stolen cars or have warrants for their arrest.
If you have none of that, you should have no problems coming through and coming to Miami Beach to have a great time this weekend.
And so when they read the license plate, right? Say you're coming down and say you've paid your fine and this has happened a lot. Many times somebody pays a ticket, the court screws it up, whatever the case may be. Now you get arrested, and you're all because you went to the beach weekend. So you end up in jail, and you actually didn't do anything. You're just driving in, and maybe you had some like a parking ticket or something. And I mean, you can go to jail for that kind of crap. Down here in Florida, they'll throw you in jail for anything. Well, pretty much anywhere in the United States, they'll throw you in jail for anything now. But they love to throw you in the poke down here for anything. It's just unbelievable. And she's so just very, well, if you don't have any problems, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. Really, lady? How fast do you think you could get on the no-fly list there? Or the no-scan list, or whatever the hell you want to call it, the no-beach list? How fast do you think you could get on it, lady? Unbelievable. And these people just accept it like it's cool. Because, again, they've lived through the crap. So I understand why she's doing it. But, again, problem, reaction, solution.
Data shows most of the people arrested last year actually came from somewhere else in South Florida. Only 8% were Miami Beach residents. And that is why the city is looking at potentially using those plate scanners on other major weekends. We're live in Miami Beach. I'm Gio Benitez, CBS 4 News.
Gio, thank you.
Now, you see how, well, because, that's why we're going to use them potentially on other weekends, is because 8% of the people that were arrested down here on Memorial Day weekend weren't from here. That's double speak. Are you listening to what they're saying? They're looking for any excuse they could use to put this crap in, scan your plates. And by the way, the parking enforcement down there already drives around with cars with the license plate scanners on the roof. They have a bunch of them that drive around doing it. Their whole job is to collect revenue from tickets and tow people's cars. Oh, it's a scam. All right, hour 1 up, hour 2 coming up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with hour number 2 here on tonight's live edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. I am your host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. And it is Wednesday, May 23rd, 2012. I've gotten emails, by the way. I want to get on this really quick and cover this before I forget. I want to say thank you to everybody that's emailed me, messaged me, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, in the chat room, however you contacted me and sent me love, because I had surgery last week, and everybody's been, the get well wishes and stuff have been pouring in, and I really didn't talk too much about it on air because I don't like to focus on me. I don't make this show about me or anything like that, but I had to address it because Joe and Tim were doing my show, and I came on sounding like I got hit by a bus. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that wished me, good vibrations, energy, whatever, and sent me love. Appreciate it, and I am healing well. I have feeling in all of my fingers except for my right index finger. That's the only one that's still numb, and it's only partially numb. It's coming back every day. The nerve is coming back alive, as the doctors would say, and it feels like it is on fire. I was telling people earlier today and yesterday that I consider myself right now, it feels like my finger is like the Human Torch from the Fantastic Four. It just feels like it's on fire, and that doctors told me that, and I already knew this, but the doctors confirmed it, that it is the nerve tissue regenerating and firing and waking back up. So I will have functionality in my hand again, and I will be able to, as my good buddy Tim Watts would say, I'll be able to choke slam people again real soon. So look forward to that. I'm only kidding. All right. Getting back into the martial law on South Beach thing, I want to finish this up and get into a few other things. I want to tell you guys really quick the logistics of what they plan on doing this weekend. So if you live anywhere in South Beach or in Miami, pay attention, because you're about to find out what they plan on doing to the beach this weekend. And of course, in the article, CBS interviews a girl who lives on the beach, and she's had trouble before in past years, which, by the way, I've had to give armed escorts to people during Urban Beach weekend. I won't lie. When I worked at the tattoo shop, if one of the artists' wives or my girlfriend at the time or one of their girlfriends or whatever, especially if they lived on the beach, if they were traveling back and forth from their apartment to the shop or something, like to say bring their husband dinner or something or whatever, or stop by and say hi, I would provide an armed escort. If I didn't, the women would get screwed with, and they would mess with them. I'm not kidding. They would just grab them. So I will admit I had to provide armed escort for a few years. I mean, it's always good to be armed anyway if you can exercise your Second Amendment right. But you understand my point. That the weekend is crap. But again, the city controls it. The city could put it into it real fast. So there's something more to it. Anyway, I agree that the locals do have to put up with a lot of crap. So they're going to be closing down. They're going to be closing down streets. And here's a brief view of what you're going to be going through if you live down there. If you live on the beach, proof of residency will be required to enter the following residential areas: north of 5th Street to Lincoln Road, from Washington Avenue west to Alton Road. I can tell you, north of 5th Street, so from 5th to Lincoln, which covers all of South Beach. So from Washington west, what they're saying is Washington Avenue is like you have Washington, Collins, and Ocean, and then after Washington it becomes residential. So what they're saying is from Washington, which if anybody's seen Miami Ink, where it's actually the tattoo shop's called Love Hate, but when they had the show Miami Ink on TV, that street, that's Washington Avenue. So that's the west side of Washington Avenue. So what they'll do, they'll do is at the street breaks in between the buildings and stuff, they'll just have cops there doing ID checks, so that if you want to walk down the sidewalk or go, they'll have it coned off. I guarantee you won't be able to drive down there. And if you want to do any pedestrian traffic going in there, you're going to have to show an ID, and there'll probably be points of access for the locals to get in with their cars, but there'll be checkpoints. And if there's a checkpoint, I guarantee you they'll have a canine there. And if the dog sits down or indicates that there's drugs in your car, it doesn't matter if the canine was even it doesn't matter if they were searching you or not. Then they'll search you because that's probable cause, they say, because the dog set it off. Yeah, real shady. So that's the kind of stuff they pull. So look forward to that. So north of 5th, so from 5th Street to Lincoln Road, from Washington, the west side of Washington, all the way over to Alton Road. So that's 3/4 of the beach, actually more than 3/4 of the beach. A little more than about 80% of the beach. And that's South Beach, when I say the beach. South of 5th Street to Government Cut. So that means that if you live south of 5th, which is, I used to live down there, the Government Cut is the name of the big waterway where the ships go in and out, the Coast Guard vessels come in and out, and the naval vessels and everything else comes in and out of their port. And that's as far south as you can go in South Beach, because then you end up in the water. So from 5th Street south, you're not going to be able to get down. That's all residential. You're not going to be able to get down there at all whatsoever. Now, there's some restaurants and stuff down there, but I mean, that's gonna, not that a lot of people would go down there anyway, but there's still, you got to wonder, how much money is this actually going to cost the businesses down there? Because there are restaurants. Danny DeVito's got a restaurant south of 5th down there, an Italian place over on Collins. They're going to lose. I mean, I'm sure they wouldn't make that much money in this weekend anyway, but still, not having anybody be able to go down there for 3 days, who knows? And Dade Boulevard to 41st Street and Pine Tree Avenue, which is where all the judges and all these other rich people live, or some rich, some people just well off. But those are the $1 million homes over there. So I guarantee you get caught over there, you'll be going to jail. If you don't live, well, you won't be able to even go over there because they're going to have it blocked off. So there you go. Yeah, pretty much the whole beach will be blocked off to anybody that doesn't live there. They're going to be doing ID checks all over South Beach. So pretty much all of South Beach, except for Washington, Collins, and Ocean Drive, which it doesn't matter because to get onto the beach, they're going to be doing license plate scanning anyway. So they're going to know who you are. They're going to be doing DUI checkpoints from Friday night to Saturday morning. There will be a DUI saturation and enforcement throughout the whole weekend. Of course, when they say DUI, it's driving under the influence. So that could be drinking, drugs, anything. See, driving while intoxicated got replaced so that they could include drugs and anything else. So they're going to be out. I guarantee you the DEA will be out there. Anybody, by the way, that's going to be down there this weekend, email me, contact dtrh@yahoo.com, contact dtrh@yahoo.com. And I'll hook up with you. You can give me, if it's not on air, you can call me up and I'll record it, and then I can play the, what's going on, like Friday night. I can play it on air a little bit, or maybe even if somebody could do a live reporting somewhere, although it's kind of noisy, so it would be hard to find a spot where it would be easy to do a live spot from, but we could figure it out. Anyway, anybody interested in doing live reporting from down there, if you want, let me know. Contact dtrh@yahoo.com. Let me tell you the rest of the logistics really quick. The police department will be erecting 4 surveillance towers with video equipment. The cameras can see up to a mile, and they'll be perched on 4 towers stationed in Loomis Park, on Collins Avenue, and on the east end of the Lincoln Road Mall. So the east end, Lincoln Road, runs east to west. It was a street, and they literally closed it off and made it a pedestrian mall. And it used to be full of quirky little shops and a really cool place to go. And now they forced all the quirky little shops out, and now they've got crap in there like the Gap and all this other big, corporate bullshit. Way to destroy the beach, by the way. But the way they have it set up, they're going to have these cameras, which they said they could see a mile with. They're setting up a whole grid. They're going to be able to see the whole beach. And I guarantee you, they're going to have the DHS Mobile Command Center down there again. Yeah, this is what our guys died for. Memorial Day. Remembering the dead who fought to defend the Constitution. That's what this is supposed to be about, right? So how do you honor them? By taking away people's civil liberties. Awesome. Well, Popeye, you were going to give us a solution to solve this problem. How can we solve this problem? Well, I can tell you how to solve it. It's real simple. Okay, first, what you do is you fire all the idiots that are running the city council and the mayor down in South Beach. That's one. Okay, fire all of them. If you live down there, get rid of them. They don't listen to you. They obviously don't care what you have to say, because if they did, they wouldn't even bring this to the beach. Take away the reason for the police state. Stop the weekend. Stop the freaking weekend. It's as simple as that. Stop it. No super, duper answer, no superhero coming in a cape to save you. You do it. Stop it. There's your freaking answer. I tried to impart this to people when I lived there, and people weren't ready for that type of talk. And some of them still aren't. But at least last year after the shooting, people went and they protested outside of City Hall. That only lasted a minute, though, and then it ended real fast. People need to get angry. The residents need to tell the city they've had enough. Get rid of everybody in the city, and then don't issue these permits anymore. Tell the people that run these things, find out, obviously somebody has to, there's a contact person for this. There's somebody that arranges this. Whoever it is, I don't care if it's through a company or whatever, eventually there's a human being that will answer a telephone that you can tell to screw. Find another city. And then if they're just a secretary, they'll pass it on to their boss, who will probably call you up and say, well, what do you mean, screw off? And you say, we're tired of this crap in our city, and we'd like to, I know we're a tourist city, but, we're done with this. Maybe they'd like to get some of the other tourists back that have been pushed away and scared off, whatever. That's how you fix this problem. You get angry, you get involved, and you take care of business. Because like Plato said, and I'm paraphrasing here because I don't quite remember exactly how he put it right now, but it was basically, if you're too lazy to get involved in politics, if you're smart and you're too lazy to get involved in politics, then be prepared be prepared, and you deserve to be ruled by the morons that are going to come into power and be running things then. because you weren't willing, you were a smarter individual, maybe you're more enlightened, maybe you have better morals, and you don't want to get involved in politics because everybody always says, oh, I don't want to get involved in politics. I don't like politics. So who's left to get involved in politics? All the dirtbags. It's as simple as that. If you don't want to be ruled by some moron, then get involved. Run for office. Get this, whoever, city council member, mayor, whatever the position is, get them voted out. Put yourself in. That's how we're going to take this back at the local level. That's the grassroots way. You start local and then you work your way up. That's how we're going to do this. North Miami Beach, we did it. We got a Ron Paul guy voted in. Remember last year I said how the FBI came and knocked on my door? It was because of the mayor of North Miami Beach, because I was going to their meetings and talking about fluoride and 9/11. Why? Well, I had to, because the city I lived in was subservient for our water supply from them, and they were fluoridating their water supply. So I wanted to tell them about it. And they ended up sicking the FBI on me because the mayor said I was an extremist organization. So after that, it pissed me off a little bit. So I worked with a local blogger. I've had her on the show before, Stephanie Kienzle. I worked with her, and I published her articles that she would write. And they had they had this huge groundswell of support from the people in the community who wanted this dirtbag mayor out because he was just a scumbag and he was, good old boy style politics, almost Chicago style politics. And I'm proud to say I helped, publish her articles, and we helped stimulate people to pay attention, and it got him voted out of office. That's how you handle it. When they start to become little tyrants in your town, and you got the mayor running around spying on people from their van with a pair of binoculars and calling code enforcement like his little personal police department and trying to get the police to go after people. When you have that kind of crap going on, there's only two ways to handle it: violently or non-violently. Violently never solves the problem unless it's a self-defense type situation. But still, violence doesn't really solve the problem ever. So the only way to properly solve a situation like that would be to run for the office yourself and get the dirtbag out. Remove them from power. The guy that's in power now in North Miami Beach, he's a Ron Paul guy. I'm not saying that George Vallejo is Superman and came in with a cape on, but he's way better than the other mayors that they had previously, and he's doing a better job than they do. He's open, he's transparent. They at least they actually listen when people talk. They explain to the people, this is the way things are, blah, blah, blah with the budget. They don't spend money on stuff they don't need. This other mayor, the guy before him, he was buying himself stuff from the city budget. He's the disabled guy. They bought him 2 specialized wheelchairs. These wheelchairs, they're these ones that can go up the steps and they stand up on their tires. He bought himself 2 of them through the city. The city paid for that for him because he was the mayor. Are you kidding me? He should pay out of his own pocket through his own insurance. Why are the taxpayers buying this guy a wheelchair? And I'm not picking on disabled, I of all people. But still, I don't go and beg people to buy me a wheelchair. I don't go to, if I worked for the city, I wouldn't do that if I was the mayor. That's out of control. And that's just a small example of the kind of stuff that goes on. And you can get involved and change it. They did. They voted out a couple of the councilmen, too. And one of the councilwomen over there, Barbara Kramer, I got to give her a shout out. She's the one that instilled term limits. She said no, because they had good old boy politics going on. They had people coming in. They would be in there for God knows how long. And, of course, just like with politics now, that's why we need term limits for congressmen and senators. Do you think they'd be able to get away with half the crap they get away with if they had term limits? No. I'm sure they would eventually figure out a way around certain things, but that would put a big roadblock in their way and take the money out of politics. Make the insider trading illegal. Take the money out of it. Take the big perks, the golden parachute type crap. Take all that stuff out of there. Make them get a minimum. You know what? They make. You want to be a senator or a congressman? You make $30,000 a year. That's what you make. That's what you make. It's your duty to go and serve. It's the way it used to be. Jefferson died poor and broke. He had nothing. Nothing. Former president. Guy died without a penny in his name. He owed people money. And yet people think that it's noble or you're some awesome individual if you have a couple $1 million in the bank and you have a big house and, you live like the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or the Real Housewives of Atlanta or New York. Let me tell you something. None of those bimbos are Real Housewives. None. The Real Housewives are the ones that have a job and are raising 3 kids with their husband or doing it by themselves. Those are the Real Housewives. Not some hoity-toity bimbo with blonde hair and fake tits, okay, and who married her husband because the guy's, a bazillionaire. Or they maybe they did get married for love, but they have lots of money and they're stuck up losers. All right, we're going to break. We'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Switching gears. Cops handcuffed teenager inside jail cell, tase him, then tweet, quote, LOL. Yes. A Philadelphia area, I can't talk tonight, blah. A Philadelphia area police corporal used a stun gun on a handcuffed teenager inside a jail cell, then sent a text message to a fellow officer in which he used the acronym LOL for laughing out loud, prosecutors said Thursday. Corporal Trevor Parham now faces misdemeanor charges of simple assault and official oppression. I've never heard of that being a charge, but okay. Official oppression, like wearing Darth Vader outfits with a big stick and beating innocent protesters' heads in for no reason, just randomly. That's not official oppression. Okay, anyway. He was charged with simple assault and official oppression in connection with the encounter involving the teen last month inside of a Borough Police Department jail cell. He was suspended while the encounter was being investigated. According to the affidavit of probable cause, Parham used a stun gun on the handcuffed teen, then texted a fellow officer about the arrest, at one point writing that the teen was a smartass who got tased in the jail cell, LOL. And smartass is in quotes, and tased in the jail cell, LOL is in quotes. That's what he sent. So even I guess the district attorney is appalled and says that it was offensive, it was wrong. The kid, who knows? I don't know if charges were even brought against him. They don't go into anything else about what happened with the kid, but they say that he was released on, the cop was released on $25,000 bail. So they actually arrested this cop for doing what he did. Good. Of course, it won't be a big deal. I'm sure he'll get a slap on the wrist. He'll get, a little bad boy, bad police officer, bad Darth Vader police officer. That's what he's going to get. You shouldn't have done that in the public eye. That's why he's going to get smacked, because the video got out, I guess, and people found out about it, and the text messages got out, and they were able to trace it back, and there was an investigation. You see, when things go public and you get egg on your face, or you get egg on your boss's face, is when you become the sacrificial lamb. They only publicize this crap or act on it like they do. I'm so appalled when it's out in everybody's face. And even half the time that doesn't happen. Look at the Seattle Police Department. Holy crap. Seattle. What is up with them? Really? People, if you don't know what's going on in Seattle, don't move there. That's all I got to say. I mean, between the radiation and the out-of-control police, your life expectancy is probably much shorter than the rest of the country. The cops are out of control there. And half the time, the police brutality doesn't get investigated like it should. At all. At all. Why is that? Thin blue line. I'm not picking on cops. You guys would have, honestly, I could solve your problems too in like a half a segment. Real simple. If you guys would start to police your own, right, and handle business and weed the scumbags out of the force and get back to defending the Constitution and the people and not the bankers and not being revenue agents, then yeah, you wouldn't be hated so much. But people dislike police so much because everybody's had at least one negative experience with a police officer. They're constantly getting harassed by them, whatever the case may be. The cops nowadays give themselves a bad name. Even YouTube doesn't help them because they're constantly getting caught on video or audio, mouthing off, busting someone's balls, breaking their civil rights, killing them, shooting them, tasing them, beating them, sodomizing them with a broomstick in the case of Abner Louima, or a plunger. Sorry, it wasn't a broomstick, it was a plunger. They used a broomstick on Dahmer, and they shoved it up his ass, and it came out the roof of his mouth, I believe. It penetrated his stomach and everything. That's how they killed Dahmer in prison, by the way. But yeah, so what are you going to do? What do you do? Well, we got to do something because we can't continue on the path. We need good people to get involved. I think that's the biggest problem we have is people don't want to get involved. Everybody says, Popeye, I don't want to get involved because I hate politics or I hate this and that's not my cup of tea. Well, maybe we need to get involved, at least to clean things up until we can find people that we can hand it off to that can do the job properly. Okay, we need to get involved. If that means running for local sheriff, then run for local sheriff. If you get in, then you deputize a couple people that are really good people and you start to go out and you get these scumbags. Tuscan asked me today on his show. He brought me on really quick, last minute, final couple segments of his show, and he said something about running for sheriff to me, kind of like half joking around, but half serious. And, honestly, if I ever ran for sheriff, I would deputize about 10 guys, and we would go out, and we would actually start to prosecute the real crimes. I wouldn't, you parked in that parking space for 45 minutes longer than you should have. I'm going to write you a ticket. No. If the local police want to do that and the meter readers want to do that, fine. You want to be a meter cop? Go ahead and do that. Me, if I was sheriff, I'd start to go after the pedophiles. And I don't mean the morons that putz over at MSNBC catches on the Catch a Predator, Chris Hansen. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the satanic Luciferian scumbags that run things. I would start to go after them. And we would handle things the way they need to be handled. End of story. That's how we need to clean this up. We need to get involved. Good people need to get involved again. People that don't want to get involved in politics because they hate the fighting and all that other negative energy, we need you. The people that are really good-hearted and good-natured and they just don't like to get involved in that stuff, guys, the reason things have gotten out of control so easily for these New World Order elitist scumbags, the reason why they have things so well in hand is because people have played right along. You have the editors of of newspapers and TV and radio and everything and media playing along over the years. You have the apathetic public that are just so tired of part of this left-right paradigm arguing back and forth. Not only is it like Ventura calls it theater, like the WWF where they would go back and forth, or WWE now, and where they would go back and forth and, beat the crap out of each other on TV. But, when the cameras are off, they're at each other's kids, Christmas or birthday parties, and they're at each other's Christmas parties, and they're going out to dinner, and they're hanging out with each other. It's all a facade. Well, part of that also is to make you weary, ladies and gentlemen. Part of this whole political process, this whole show, this whole dog and pony show, okay, the wagging the dog, all of this stuff is to make you so weary of politics that you hate it and you detest it and you never want to get involved, even if you hate government, even if you hate what's going on. They do it so that you're so tired of it and that somebody else will step up to the plate and take care of things for you. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here. Super politician with my cape. I come in all colors, shapes, and sizes. Whatever you need, whatever the New World Order needs for that time being, I am super politician. That's what people want. They want some politician to come in with a friggin' cape, land on the ground, and poof, problem solved. It's not going to happen. The only way any of this is going to get fixed is if people get angry and start to get involved in their local governments, their county governments, their city governments, their state governments. You want to run for congressman or senator? Run for congressman or senator. Get your locals to back you. You want to run for a local office or something? Contact me. Contact DTRH@yahoo.com. Contact DTRH@yahoo.com. Email me with anything. But if you're running for a local office, I had Tisha Cassidy on. She's been on Joe's show multiple times. She's running out in Colorado. I believe it's Congress she's running for, if I remember correctly. I've had her on my show. I introduced her to my listeners. Why? Because she's a fresh face and a fresh voice. And I got to tell you, she actually, talking to Tisha, it was I guess I hate to use the word again, but it was refreshing. Here's this young lady wants to get involved. She knows about eating right and about health. And she wants to get involved and fix things and actually do the right thing. More of us should do that and strive to do that thing, that things like that or stuff like that, or that itself. Run for office. You don't like your mayor? Run for mayor. You don't like your local councilman? Replace him or her with yourself or somebody that'll do the friggin' job. It's time to man up, ladies and gentlemen. We need to get a pair and take care of business. Final segment, ladies and gentlemen, of tonight's show. Thank you all for listening. Want to make sure I get that out there. Of course, I will say it at the end of the show, but final segment of the show, I always like to give shout-outs, or if someone's on, I like to let the guests plug their stuff. And I just want to remind you all that you are all an integral part of this fight. Just by listening to this radio program, you are enlightening yourself. Just by listening to the other radio programs here on Orion or at any other network or alternative media source, if you are looking for the truth, if you are looking and searching for the real reality of things, not this false reality that they try to give you with TV and their quote-unquote reality programming. All that is scripted, by the way. None of that is reality. They want you to buy into that. They don't want you to see what's really going on. That's why you have this level of control you do. That's why you have all this. I mean, look at the TV shows they're coming out with. The most mindless, just crap. I can't even. It reminds me of that the movie. What the hell is the name of it? By Mike Judge, Idiocracy. Where at the end of the movie, they were putting out movies. I think one of the movies was titled Crap or something like that. And it was pretty much just garbage from like beginning to end of movie. And that's what they're putting out today. Everything's mindless crap. And then the only stuff that does come out pretty much anymore that's not a remake of something, anything that's new, is all Illuminati themed, has all symbolism and everything in it. If you don't think that this stuff is real, ladies and gentlemen, you need to research it. And there's a lot of people that go, the Illuminati, that doesn't exist, Popeye, come on. No, it does. Okay, time to wake up and be realistic. If you think that this conspiracy just started in 1913 or maybe a little bit before that, you're out of your mind. This is a plan that goes back thousands of years. I suggest you read the work of Manly P. Hall. If you want to understand what is going on. I'm not kidding. You can buy his books still online. While you can, I suggest you get the physical copies. You know how I am about books, ladies and gentlemen. My book collection is one of my favorite things. And I have a pretty interesting collection of books. And I have to tell you, I'm still working. I have more to go. But I urge you to go out and purchase physical copies of these, books. Whenever you hear me mention a book on air or even talk about books, physically get the copy of it. Manly P. Hall, The Secret Destiny of America. Now, that's the work that's got both of his books. It's got two books, two of his works put together. It's got The Secret Destiny of America and America's Assignment with Destiny, both written by Manly P. Hall. And when you read through it, it's got some of his original drawings and stuff that were in his works and stuff. When you read through it, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn that this is a quest that's been going on for a long, long time. This isn't, something that some kid made up in his basement. It always cracks me up when you could come to somebody with information, like you put a video together. It could be a 15-minute video. You'll put it up on YouTube, and it could be packed with information and knowledge. And somebody will comment on it. Wow, where do people come up with this crap? This stuff is so off the wall. These people are crazy. This stuff, these conspiracy nuts. Where do they come up with this crap? Where do we come up with it? We come up with it from their own writings. That's where we, the conspiracy nuts, come up with it. I suggest you go read their own writings rather than pay attention to who's on American Idol or who won Dancing with the Stars. I could give two shits less about Dancing with the Stars, American Idol, or any other mindless, idiotic crap on the boob tube. Turn the television off or shoot it. It doesn't do anything good for you. Unless you're watching a documentary to educate yourself that's something true and giving you actual factual knowledge, shoot your television. Shoot your cable box. You want to save yourself money? Save yourself $150 a month. It's like quitting smoking. Unplug your cable box and give it back to the cable company. Tell them you don't want the moron box anymore. They'll probably offer you all sorts of crap to stay. Turn it off. Read books. Stop letting your kids watch television. Stop putting your kid in front of the television so that you don't have to deal with him or her. You don't want to be a parent? You don't want to deal with your kid? I know kids are a pain in the ass. I understand it. I get it. But you don't want to be a parent? Don't give them the friggin' iPad and let them play with the iPad at a young age. It's rewiring kids' brains. That's why no one cares about getting up and getting involved in politics. They're all stupid. Literally, they've been dumbed down. Ladies and gentlemen, our freedoms could go away completely in a generation. Jefferson talked about this. The founders knew this. Why do you think they go after the educational system? Why do you think they put fluoride in the water? Why do you think they give as many friggin' vaccines as they do now? If they can make people so sick that they're too sick to get involved or care, because the only thing they can focus on is themselves. Or they give them fluoride so they're dumbed down. And they don't even know what's going on. They don't have any knowledge about what's going on. They could care less. I've dated people that were like that could care less about anything that's going on around them. And it to me, it was very unfortunate because they were really beautiful people on the inside, but they could not connect with reality, and a lot of it was because of the things that they were exposed to, their environment, whether it be the fluoride in the water or the shots. I know so many people like this. You do. All of you out there do. I'm sure you all know at least one or two people you go to talk to and even have a conversation about politics with. They don't care. You could tell them that there's troops outside their house right now with flamethrowers setting it on fire, and they wouldn't care as long as American Idol or the NBA game was on, or the NFL game, or the NHL, whatever friggin' sport happens to be your poison, soccer, World Cup, whatever. Orwell wrote about that. Go read the New World Order. This is before stadiums and sports stadiums ever existed. And he said, they talked about in the book that they were going to use sports stadiums to control the people, like gladiatorial-style games. See, why do you think guys don't stand up? See, men naturally want to be protective. It's instinctual in us to protect the family and to protect women. Or the woman in your family or women that are your friends. That's why guys are protective like that. It's instinctual. But between the vaccines and all the crap they put in the food and the media and crap like Justin Bieber telling boys it's okay to wear girls' pants that are ass tight. And literally, this kid wears girls' pants. Look, I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but there's pants made for boys and there's pants made for girls. If you're a boy, you wear the boys' pants. If you're a girl, you wear the girls' pants. That's not picking on anybody. That's not making fun of anybody or their sexuality or anything else. That's simple logic. Girl pants, boy pants. Do boys wear dresses and high heels? No, that's not normal. Girls wear dresses and high heels. But see, now the new normal is guys wear high heels on TV. Guys cross-dress all the time. Every show you see a guy cross-dressing. It's about manipulation. They don't really care about the 30-year-old generation or even the 20-year-old generation. They want the younger ones because that's who our future leaders are. See, ladies and gentlemen, these people do not think in terms of now or even, they do, and they think in terms of 4 years, but their overall grand scheme ideas do not target even 4 years ahead. They target 20 years ahead. We're all busy paying attention to what's going on right now. We're all worried about the NDAA and everything else. We're not thinking about the threats down the road. Some of us are, but not many people are. A lot of people are focused on what's going on right around them today, even the awake. Not many people put themselves in the shoes of these elitists, these social engineers, and think like they do. And one must think like they do in order to be able to defeat them. Okay? So when you get frustrated out there when you're trying to talk to people, when you get frustrated if you're trying to run for your city council and stuff, don't give up. It's a tough road, but we need people that are willing to stay the course and fight. We need people to get involved. Get involved locally. Try to, even if you just host a screening and you have your friends and immediate family come over and try to wake them up and tell people, ask questions. Don't, let's not throw around ad hominem attacks or make fun of anything. Ask serious questions. If someone can't, again, you're going to deal with the people that have been vaccinated and dumbed down and everything else, and you're going to have people that just simply don't want to deal with it. They're going to be in denial. Stay the course. Get involved, do a screening, get a video, pass links, but do more than just post a link on Facebook or Twitter. Get physically involved. Start to form these bonds with people in your community. That's how we're going to get this back, is bringing that sense of community back. Getting together. That's how things, in the past, people got together and weathered things out and tough things as a community. Now TV and everything else, they got kids they're standing next to each other, they don't even talk anymore, they text. They're trying to take away your humanity. The way we're going to win is get your humanity first, ladies and gentlemen, and then help others get theirs back. That's a stepping stone and a good place to start. I'm out of time. Thank you all for listening. I'll see you again on Friday. Love you all. Semper Fi, I'm out.